it's about the name of the chapter is Active Audiences and the Construction of Meaning. And so the gist of this chapter really is how media makes definitions or constructs for things, and how active audiences kind of change those things too. It's sort of the interaction between us, as either audiences or us as people who produce media. And so I thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about maybe media that has changed our minds about something. And so I'm going to talk about some things through some documentaries that I found on Netflix that sort of changed my mind about how I think about an issue or a subject. And I thought that that's pretty relevant because in the last, 10 or so years we have the internet, and that has really changed how we get media and the kind of media that we are exposed to, because before, we basically got what we were given through television or newspapers or magazines, and now we have this whole different thing where it's the internet, and people, like anybody, can put something on the internet and we can see it, or like on Netflix where you have a lot of documentaries or independent films, and so we're exposed to like maybe different points of view than we would have ever been exposed to before, maybe non-conventional points of view, and how that's sort of modified our opinions about different things.
And this added with our own personal experiences and beliefs creates a whole new spectrum of possibilities for media.
It does, yes. Okay, so I'm going to let Marissa go first, and she's going to talk about maybe something that she's seen that's changed her idea about something.
I've personally always liked animals. I kind of feel bummed out that the majority of human beings have to eat them for food, but I still eat meat. And I didn't really feel that guilty about it until I watched Food Inc., which kind of follows Monsanto and a lot of meat processing practices. And I didn't fully realize how horrifying it must be to be some sort of meat-producing creature in society. Since watching this video, I'm not the biggest fan of eating meat, and I'll still eat it, but I'm one of those hippies that has to have grass-fed, ultra-vegan fed cows.
Okay, and I am going to talk about I think I'll talk about one of the documentaries recently that I watched that really changed, I don't know if it changed my mind as much as like it broadened my mind about a pretty controversial subject, which is
how I feel too about mine. You said it better.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's about. We're being exposed to different things, and so it's kind of interesting how it morphs our opinions about stuff. But yeah, I watched recently How to Die in Oregon, which is a film about physician-aid suicide in Oregon and Washington too now, where somebody who has a terminal illness and can commit suicide or take a pill and then die instead of living out that illness. And I think if you would have asked me maybe before what I thought about physician-assisted suicide before I watched this film, I would have maybe had a harder time knowing how to feel about it. And now I kind of feel like, obviously there are some moral questions up in the air, but I begrudgingly admit there may be some moral questions up in the air, but when you're looking at people who have terminal illness, it's not really in this context. In the context it was presented in the documentary, where you have people that are very, very sick and very, very much in pain, and there's no comfort really, or there's no way to make it any better for them. They're going to die, and they're probably going to die very painfully and tragically.
Want to leave their families all that debt either.
Yeah, and it's very expensive, just the expense, and not just like, monetary stuff really I don't think should be a part of whether or not you should live or not, but the idea that it's very, I mean, more than that, the toll it takes on families and just the way that they presented it that way, you see that it's not really physician-assisted suicide as much as it is, you know, these people are dying, you know. Are doing in a lot of these cases are granting people a way to end their lives in dignity and with a choice, you know, when they don't really have many choices left to make about their lives and how they can live their lives, or allowing them to make that choice before they don't have the ability to make any choices anymore. And I thought that, you know, all of us, I mean, I especially wouldn't want to, you know, die in a way that I became a vegetable, or I would want to die with dignity. If I was in a lot of, if I had a terminal illness that I knew was going to end very painfully and possibly with the loss of my coherent consciousness, then I would want the choice to end my life in a way where I felt like I was going out in a way that I would want to go out. And so, like, the idea that, you know, you take people's ability to have the freedom to be a human being and keep their humanity really changed how I feel about the issue. And so, yeah, that was 2 examples of how media has changed our construct of issues and things that we deal with.
That is a good ending. Hopefully it recorded all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all. At 7 minutes,